Welcome to the Resilient Minds podcast, stories of grit, growth, and success, where we dive deep into the journey of successful leaders who've struggled and succeeded. Before the wins, before the titles, what was the mindset behind the leader? On this show, we focus on real stories behind the success, the struggles, the resilience, and the courage it takes to keep moving forward, even when times get tough. My goal is to provide you with stories of hope and transformation, showing that no matter the challenges, there is a way forward. On this show, we'll be meeting with highly successful leaders who've battled through obstacles, emerging stronger and wiser on the other side. This show is for anyone who wants to grow, evolve, and find the light at the end of the tunnel. Everyone's a leader, so together, we'll uncover what it truly means to evolve as leaders, and ultimately, as human beings. This is Resilient Minds. Hey, I'm your host, Dr. Campbell, and I'm here with Rob Swymer. He is an author, speaker, and a peak performance strategist. He's here to tell us today some amazing things that we can do with our actual body just by being human. I'm biased, Rob. I think that we're all amazing beings, but you actually have a lot of the science behind that. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, sure. I am, like you said, a peak performance strategist. I retired, retired about 2 years ago from corporate America. I was a leader for high-tech companies for over 4 decades, and I used some of these principles when I led in different areas of the world. So when I retired, it was a natural thing for me to sort of double down on what we call physical intelligence. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm traveling the globe, speaking and activating and igniting teams and cultures to really not only survive any kind of adversity or challenges, but thrive during them. And I have multiple stories that sort of where I got this sort of the conviction behind it to bring this to the keynote stage. I'm the only one actually doing this on stage, activating all audiences. So I'm having a blast doing it, and having all that expertise in leadership, bringing those principles now. It's a great way to ignite and activate what we call emotional intelligence, which is sort of everybody kind of knows what that is, right? So but how do you actually ignite it? And this is really how you do it. Physical intelligence, using the body naturally and showing up and being present, being mindful and being there for the people under your charge, not just as employees, but people, leading with empathy, but activating that empathy with how your body moves and releasing those natural chemicals and the energy that we have in our body. That's all there. It's just natural. So
Right. Like, so we have these resources within our body. We just haven't been able to tap into them, our body and our brain, right? Because they're linked.
exactly, and everything is here. And if you follow me or have seen any of my hacks for the day, it's very simple. And the neuroscience behind all this shows that you can actually change your state by these body movements and physical intelligence in 8 seconds. So that's one of my talks, is my signature talk, 8 seconds to peak state, which is how I activate audiences. In 8 seconds, they can feel it. I usually do it for 30 or so, and the music and the emotions come in, but the reaction I'm getting is really cool, and it's really fun to do this in multiple cultures, multi-generational, to bring this practice to as many people as I can, and have that brain and body hack actually natural, like free.
Absolutely. So I love this idea because I've always had this whole holistic
Yeah,
perspective on
right.
the mind body, right? Like it's interconnected, it's smarter than we are. So why don't we just listen to it? And if we're stuck, right? Like if you're in a rut, if you need to tap into your potential, to your leadership capabilities, your confidence, the feeling good hormones, things like that that should naturally be there. They're just my theory had always been they're just waiting. We just need hacks like you're talking about to get into it. But some people struggle with that. What specifically, like some movements that you do with somebody who's actually struggling feeling some of these hormones?
Yeah, so it's really simple, and you don't even have to really be physically fit, or it's not it's physical intelligence. But people always say, oh, I don't exercise a lot. And it's really not about that. And these are simple movements that I do for people, and it can be breath work as well. But the movements, I call it sort of a dose of peak state chemicals. for dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and releasing endorphins as well. And I take audiences and individuals through this process. And really easy things like the winner pose. And I say, be a starfish, put your feet apart and raise your hand and in the air and just put yourself in a moment where you've accomplished something amazing. Maybe I'm from Boston, so I always tell people I just ran the Boston Marathon or whatever the case may be. But and if you're doing these body movements and all you're doing is putting your hands in the air and feeling that emotion, again, you can release endorphins naturally. The other one is oxytocin. We call it the Kate Winslet, and you can imagine just being on the Titanic with Kate and
Yeah.
Jack. And I love that one because that's a great one for engaged cultures showing grace and empathy and understanding for others. It really makes cultures work together and collaborate, you come up with new ideas, and they really feel that difference when they do the oxytocin and they have that running across their heart. And I
Mhm.
talk about love and business like that. And of course, it's not like your significant other or your family, but it is love in my heart, love in your heart for the people that you work with, that work for you and around you. And if you can really show that love and you come to the table with that love and understanding and grace, cultures are more profitable. Burnout is decreased by over 40%. The studies are showing this. So this is the message I'm trying to get out. And these body movements is so simple. Anybody can do them.
Absolutely. So the two that you were talking about specifically was the winter pose. Your
Yeah,
legs were out like a starfish,
yeah,
your arms were
starfish.
out like a starfish.
Yep, up in the air. Yeah,
And so that increases dopamine. It sounds like
I
one
know,
of
and it increases endorphins.
the
So the
endorphins. Okay.
endorphins will run through, right? We always think of sort of endorphins as the strength. We go to the gym and you lift weights, but this is another way you can do it. The other one is oxytocin, which is the love hormone, and that's releasing oxytocin, and that's across the heart just by putting your heads up to the heaven and putting your arms out. You're releasing that oxytocin naturally. Dopamine is done, unfortunately, we're on that seesaw of dopamine cortisol in this world today, and it's playing out in social media. It's playing out everywhere. At the line at Starbucks, I mean, you could just see people on this seesaw of dopamine cortisol, which is the high fight or flight, where they're in, really stress mode. So I get people off that seesaw of dopamine and cortisol by releasing good dopamine, by releasing long lasting dopamine. And that's all about setting up goals and breaking through those limited beliefs. So I do a lot of closed eyes and a lot of goal oriented meditation at the end of my presentation, releasing that dopamine, that reward that you're breaking through those limited beliefs, that you've already hit that goal. What does it feel like? Who are you with? Those are the kind of things that I take them through. So they're releasing dopamine, but in a good way, not going to social media for likes or hits or drink or food. I always tell people I grew up in Boston, in an Italian neighborhood. My go-to is pasta. So, that's where I go for my dopamine. But I'm trying to get people to realize that they can do this naturally and be able to release these chemicals and be able to influence not only us, our bodies, but the people around us because we're all magnets. And what we put out is what we get back. So this is just a good way to do it. And it's natural and it's free. We have it right here.
So the interesting and my fascination with the mind body is that the body talks in metaphors too. And so if you are curled up in a ball, you're protected, right? So you're literally closing, but that's not how we're built to be. We go into fight or flight, so we close for protective instincts.
Right.
But what you're talking about is stand up straight, open your arms. It
Yeah, yeah.
physiologically increases the magnetic frequency of your heart. It needs to be open. So
Yes.
by doing that, spreading your arms and your legs wide open, looking up to the heavens and just letting it come, your body starts to increase these hormones. And it's interesting that then we're able to be more heart connected. Now,
Yes. Yes, naturally. And we show grace for others, and cultures and business collaborate, families talk. This is what we need right now more than ever. So that's why I'm really on this mission to get the next generation of leaders in life and business to understand that these things are here. There's all kinds of biohacks and brain hacks and body hacks that we pay a lot of money for. I know I'm one of them. I do a lot of biohacks, and I think that this is something that is just available to everybody, and we should really make this part of our life. And it doesn't take a lot of time. And My story is with this Physical Intelligence Institute in London was I went to London for a 2-year assignment to lead that country, the UK and Ireland, for a multi-billion dollar software company out of California. And I got there 3 weeks or 4 weeks before COVID. So I was in complete lockdown and I had to lead the country as an American. I had never met anybody through this little Zoom screen.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
I did that for 2 years. And I can tell you that if I didn't have this ability to activate myself and to activate others with the words that I used, what I focused on, and the body movements, we never would have survived and we thrived. And within the first year, we broke all kinds of records. We became the number one theater over there in sales. And I'll tell you what, it was all because of how we showed up. And they embraced it. They embraced it and we were able to do some amazing things. So I know it works, and I practiced it in real life. So I'm coming with conviction to the stage saying, look, I got this. I've been 4 decades in this leadership world, and I'm telling you that this really works. And then all the studies are proving it, right? All the, Gallup studies and CEOs of Microsoft, Zappos, Amazon, they're all doing some of these body movements now before meetings so people can collaborate more, and they're opening their hearts and they're vibrating at a different level. And that's my goal, is to get people to vibrate at a different level and really transform those cultures. And for leadership, it's the ability to be bold, be brave, and be memorable, I always say. And that's what this is all about. So it's new, it's kind of leading edge, but I am getting the message out there, and it's getting more and more now. I've been doing it for probably a year and a half or 2 years, and now I'm starting to really see the momentum, and I'm getting in front of more cultures and more companies.
Good, good. And it absolutely needs to spread too, because as we're magnets, we affect the people that we're around too. So the more other people do it, that's why the leaders needing to do it within their culture, because it
Yeah,
goes to all their employees.
absolutely.
And that's even more important too, because when we talk about like leading out of love or leave with your heart space or open your heart space with business talk, it's like it doesn't compute, but it
Right.
needs to. They need to mesh together, because if you lead out of love, you're also using your biology as a strategy within your business, right? And the
Right.
human biology is the most fascinating thing in the universe, right?
Absolutely.
So you're
Absolutely.
definitely not tapping into your potential if you aren't opening up your heart space.
Yeah, I mean, look, leadership is not just about the numbers, and it's not just about leading with your sort of your operational cadence and excellence, if you will. Leadership is about energy, and the body has so much of the energy that we can project. And if we're able to change the way we come at things and the energy that we give, then then we can have those difficult conversations if we have to as a leader. We can have different conversations that we have because now we have trust and we have collaboration, and we have that ability to really talk to our employees or people that we work with in a different way and collaborate in a different way, come up with new innovation that we wouldn't have already had. And we're seeing that now. We're seeing that the CEO of Microsoft, Nadal, he told me that basically investors are even seeing more. I'm going to put more in the till that for CEOs that are leading with empathy, because now they're in touch with people that are under a charge, and they can see that that's their focus. You need that operational cadence and excellence, of course, in business. If you have stockholders and shareholder value, it's important. I've done that for 40 years. I get it. But you need that other side of the brain to really amp up and ignite that emotional intelligence and be able to really have consistent success year after year.
Absolutely, because when you lead with your biology and your heart space, it builds resilience naturally.
It really does, and really does, and oxytocin also builds resilience, and that's really what when you do that movement, you are building that resilience in your body to not just survive but thrive, and that's really important. And we businesses talk about that, and individuals talk about resilience. Is that we need more resilience, and my company is resilience. I'm resilient, but we really don't know how to activate it or ignite it. And this is a great way to do it naturally by releasing oxytocin. You're doing just that. You're building your resilience. And if you do the whole dose of peak state chemicals, you're really in a peak state above anybody else that you're interacting with, and you can bring that to them I always say bring it to your community, your family, your church, your business, because this is a movement, right? This is a movement that we're trying to get out there to make sure people are exposed to it.
That's beautiful. Rob, can you share with me, because you haven't had this your entire life, right? And then you're human just like any of us, right? And we can be ambitious, we can chase our goals, we can feel the good stuff, right? But then there's still situations that happen that are extremely difficult. And it's like if you don't have these hacks, you have to search for them desperately, right? Like you have to find something that works.
Yeah.
Or you have to, like if let's say you do have all these hacks, you have to use them as a lifeline to keep you going, right? When has been one of those times for you?
Yeah, so I think it's important to people to realize that I wasn't always this person, you know, and there was a time, and I'm sure people can relate that I was certainly on my knees many times in my life, dealing with adversity or challenges, and maybe some listeners are going through that now, and maybe you can relate to, wondering if you really should be here. Wondering if you do have a purpose, wondering if you can ever find love or find love again. Those are the kinds of questions that I struggled with as well. I dealt with and conquered addiction, depression, even thoughts of suicide. I wrote my book to help others go through some of these valleys, if you will, and come out stronger by building that resilience. And I learned to surrender. I did. I learned to surrender to my adversity, and but I don't mean to give up. I mean to give in. And when I accepted where I was where I needed to be, and traded those expectations, life really changed for me. And I've gone through that tunnel, if you will. And my life event that kind of put me on this trajectory was when I lost my wife of 32 years suddenly to a brain aneurysm in 2013. And that really shook me and put me in a place where I was, and a lot of questions came up, as you can imagine. But the one that I the one that I kept on asking was, why was I left behind? And and that's a question that actually keeps me going every day. And I started by saying that question on my knees in a really dark place. And now I've transformed that question into my purpose. And why I'm left behind was because I'm here to do what I'm doing today and to spread this message of experience, strength, and hope for others that may be struggling with life, struggling with family, struggling with their own challenges, their own demons, or their limited beliefs that are keeping them from doing things that they were meant to do here on earth. So I'm a regular guy that's gone through his share of stuff, and I wasn't always this guy, but I became sort of a student of my game. What I mean by that is I really went inside myself and really made it a life mission to go deep inside and what my purpose is, and I changed my perspective and changed my whole outlook, and that was what catapulted me into this kind of business I'm in now. I wrote the book first, and then when I retired, it was a natural thing for me to sort of try and activate these audiences and to share a little bit about my story, and as I said, my experience, my strength, and my hope for others that maybe going through some of these things, and just having having a regular guy talk about these things and be vulnerable on stage, or be vulnerable to share some of these stories. I think it can be powerful, and I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to kind of open up and be able to do that and to share my vulnerability. And as a man, I think it's extremely important these days to make sure that people understand that these motivational speakers that are up there like myself, and I have all these great hacks, and and people look at me and, wow, you're doing some crazy things and amazing things, and yeah, but don't forget where I came from, and I never do. And I can be on my knees even now, and adversity hits me all the time. But I have the tools. I have the tools to be able to get back up and thrive, not just survive those little adversities that I hit right now.
Absolutely. So, who do you work with individually? Because it sounds like you work with a lot of businesses, but you're a strategist, so you still coach, right?
So I do very limited coaching for executives. It's not the primary part of what I do. I believe this message needs to be in front of the masses.
Right.
So I'm trying to get on and have been getting on larger stages to really spread this message to have more of an impact. I'm not sort of a person that wants to be behind a screen or have or all day coaching, if you will. My hat's off to coaches, and I know so many of them that are doing massive amounts of great work. Um, my goal really is to get more on more as many stages as possible to be able to spread this message to as many people as I can.
I love that. And
Yeah,
it's absolutely necessary. So
yeah,
tell me about your book. It's Surrender to Your Adversity.
yeah. There it
Right?
is.
Where can people get it?
Yeah, so it's anywhere you get books. Amazon, of course, it's on Amazon. Barnes and Noble. I mean, anywhere you want, you can get the book. But I put this book out. I think it's about 2.5 years now, 3 years. I wrote it while I was in lockdown in London. And you can only watch so much Netflix. So yeah, so I wrote it during lockdown and sort of went back into my life and the trials that I had even as a child, and I realized I had this ability to sort of come out of any kind of adversity with just a little better perspective and a little more energy and a little more ability to thrive. So I came up with this what I call the AAA formula or three-step process to overcome any kind of adversity and build resilience, but more so not just build resilience, but be able to have a purpose in life and come back stronger than ever. I did a TED talk on it, and the reality is that it's so simple that anybody can kind of remember it, but it's a lot of work, right? So the first day is accept, and that's when I told you my first year of sobriety is when I had my problems, and I was on my knees most days, and became suicidal in that first year because I didn't really accept that I needed to be there, and I didn't really embrace it. But once I changed and I changed my expectations and I went to accept that I needed to be there, and I was exactly where I needed to be. Everything changed for me, and I started to thrive again. So, really important to accept your adversity, and people and go through what do how do you do that? And that's really the expectations and making sure that you understand that where you are is where you're supposed to be, and adversity is here to make you stronger, not break you. That's the first day, and then the other one is to appreciate. And people think I'm crazy for that because you're going to thank your adversity. And like I said, I'm standing here today because of the adversity I went through. I'm the man I am today because of the adversity I went through, and I do thank it every day. And that also translates into living in a state of gratitude, and I make that non-negotiable every day. And I know that if I'm in a state of gratitude, the brain can't process fear or anger. We know that from science. So, and you know that, right? And so it's important that, those two things we're seeing play out all over. I don't want to be in that state. So I live in a state of gratitude. So I appreciate my adversity.
Hmm.
Yeah. So once I do those two steps, then I sort of have a right mindset to kind of move forward now and assess what my options are and take action. So I pull back and I assess what my new options are, and then I go forward with new purpose and new perspective. It's a simple AAA, but it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. And if you do the work, then you'll be able to really not just survive but thrive. And I've proven it over and over again in my life, but also in others, and people have come to me and used that formula. I have so many testimonials that people have really used that formula to just even the littlest kind of adversity that you go through. It doesn't have to be massive, the things that I talked about, but anything you're dealing with and challenges in life and every day, just apply those three A's, and I guarantee it, your life will be different.
Absolutely. And what's even more fascinating with what you were just talking about, if you choose to look at it from a different perspective, physiologically in the body,
Yeah,
the emotions that are manifested, fear, shame, control dynamics, which that creates anger all the time,
yeah,
those emotions deteriorate our cells.
yeah,
Gratitude amplifies the growth
yeah,
and it magnetizes us. So
absolutely.
it actually limits aging. It slows down the aging process and it starts regenerating the body. It heals us.
It does, and we can do it naturally. And that's the
Absolutely.
really cool part about it. And all these movements, all this physical intelligence, all this mindset stuff we've been talking about for the last few minutes, this is all free. It's all natural.
Yep.
And it's things that, which I love. I mean, I love that part of
Right.
it.
Everybody loves free.
Yeah. And the thing is, we spend a lot of money on a lot of different things, right? To get our body in shape or to stay in shape, or anti-aging creams, or, we're spending billions of dollars, right? And here we are, we have everything right here we need in our body to just like release it and to give us natural ability to, yeah, anti-age, have us in a state where we can help others and serve others. And that's really important to me, is to make sure that we're in a state to be able to serve.
Right.
Yeah.
Really quick before we end, I really wish we had more time. This has been great. And I'm sure everybody listening to like, no, give me more. But out of all of the things that you've learned, out of your personal struggle, your professional triumph, and then all of the hacks that you have, what is the number one, which is probably going to be very hard, the
Yeah.
number one thing that you think every single one of us needs?
Grace. I think we need grace. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Not a hard question for me to answer. I think we need to give ourselves grace, and we don't do that enough. Give ourselves permission. For me, I gave myself permission, to love again, to live again, and that was really hard. But it
Mhm.
was something that, the example for me was I gave myself grace, and I give others grace, and it's important to do that. And I think we need to do that more and more in today's world. I call it the speed of life, not just the speed of business we talk about all the time, but the speed of life is just as quick, if not quicker. And I think if we can give ourselves some grace and others some grace, then the world will be a much better place. And it is indeed a free hack.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it
Yeah.
was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Bye. Thank you so much for joining. Your time and your focus are your most valuable currencies, so thank you for giving that to us today. Our guest contact information will be in the description below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. But please, if you know someone who's struggling, stop right now and send this video to them. The struggle behind growth and success is real, and they need the support to make it, because the strongest minds are the ones that healed. So don't forget, lead louder, feel deeper, and stay resilient. Until next time, this is your host, Dr. Campbell, on the Resilient Minds podcast.